We often chase confidence, but what if what we truly crave is to feel worthy just as we are?
Midlife Butterfly, a woman in the sacred in between. She's not who she once was and not quite who she's becoming yet. She's unraveling, awakening, remembering. She's navigating life transitions, divorce, loss, reinvention, moves, with a burning desire for freedom, joy, and soul-led living. She feels the pull to rise, to fly. She is no longer afraid of her own wings.
My dear friend and podcast sister, Dana Hunter Fradella, is one of the most energetic people I ever been with, to tell you the truth. Her joy, vitality, and is so contagious, and I'm so happy to have you here, Dana. It is a pleasure to have you. Dana, she's a speaker, a transformational coach for women on the verge of a breakthrough. She's a founder of Girls Who Recover, host of the Girls Who Recover podcast, and a mom of 3 wild girls. Over the past 2 decades, Dana has helped hundreds of women transform their lives, careers, and finances, taking big leaps to create their biggest dreams. Her specialty is empowering and supporting women to finally do the thing they always wanted to do. A manifesting maven and lover of all things New Orleans, Dana has created a life she loves, complete with dreams, relationships, a thriving business, optimum health, long-term recovery, and even Taylor Swift tickets. Her mission? To help every woman confidently say, I get to do, be, have, and give whatever I want. And I absolutely love my life. Oh my God, that's so powerful. And in this, it is.
Every time someone reads my bio, I'm like,
yeah,
this is real. This is real. It's not just jargon that I jot down with ChatGPT. It's like that's from my soul.
That's you.
And
yes.
It's a reflection of my soul. And, not so long ago, and this is perfect for our topic, I would not have, I wouldn't have been here, but also I wouldn't have had the courage to not only write it, but also receive it in the way that my soul is like, yes, girl, yes.
Of course. And I'm just so happy just to see you by me reading it. You were like, hell yeah, that's
right.
That's me. Oh my God. So beautiful. Thank you, Dana, for being here. And I really love the idea that you had to talk about what's the powerful difference between confidence and worthiness. And as you said, you probably would not be here if it wasn't for that evolution that you have gotten. And to tell you the truth, me too. I would not be here because my self-worth was buried, not even on the floor. It was buried. So, yeah. Would you like?
Yes. I was thinking about that. I said, just being a guest on someone else's podcast requires both. It requires confidence to be able to say, yes, I'm going to do that, but also this worthiness of, before I showed up here, I was in workout clothes and I took like 10 minutes. I said, okay, I'm going to put on a dress and I'm going to say a prayer and I'm going to get quiet for a minute, but I didn't do any freaking out. I didn't do any preparing. I didn't do any worrying.
Mm-hmm.
And so just this presence with you for both of us, as you mentioned,
I just did the same.
Confidence and worthiness.
Yes.
And I can't help but say, like, we truly are, miracles and also podcast sisters, because we created our podcast and launched it at the same time. And we have the same number of episodes and the same cadence. And can I just offer you a compliment? Will you receive it?
Oh, of course. Yes.
So there have been a couple of times, Kana, when I thought, you know what? I'm not going to do it. Like, I'm not going to it's going to be fine. I'm not going to publish the episode. There's too much going on. And I said, I would look at your podcast and I said, no, we're on the same week and I'm going to be the same. We're going to have the same number. And it wasn't like a competitive nature. It was like, this woman is inspiring me so much by fulfilling the promise and commitment that she made to herself. And so I'm going to do it too. And sometimes that's meant like publishing an episode episode that I didn't feel amazing about and doing it anyway,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
staying up late to get it done, or just doing it in the middle of the day when my brain, the perfectionist part of my brain is like, it has to be done this way at this time every week. You got to have a system, blah, 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 right? Which makes it no fun.
Oh, yeah.
And so thank you for, and even if you aren't doing that, I want you to know that I'm just looking to you as a complete and utter inspiration for me. So I feel like we're linked in hearts and both in arms, and we're walking each other home, one brave step at a time.
Yes. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you. I well received. It got stuck on my throat, but it's for a good reason. Yes.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I would like you to share a bit about your story first before we dive in. I mean, we talk a bit now how we have grown in some areas through here and where we are now. But yeah, well, I want to know more about your story. What's behind?
Yes. It's almost impossible to tell my story, as it turns out, without involving the topics of confidence and worthiness. And so the thing that I mostly talk about beyond helping women transform and do the thing they've always wanted to do is, okay, how did I get here? How can I do that? It goes way back to, I have a really confident mom. And so I watched her do the thing that confident people do, and they take the risk and they speak in front of a crowd and they advocate for themselves and they say the hard things. And so beautiful role model. And I'm so grateful for that. And I remember this time where in like the 5th grade, I stood up in front of the class and I gave a speech. It was like with the DARE program, which is don't do drugs, basically. And I won this speech and I was like, oh, that's amazing. And then the next day I felt so empty. Like, oh, I'm so proud of myself for winning the speech and doing the thing. And then the next day felt really empty. I wasn't awake to that. But I mentioned that because it was the first time that something like that happened. And I cultivated this belief. My mom is also very successful. And so this belief that I need to be successful too. Like, what is not without understanding, like, what does success actually mean? Well, here's what it meant to me. It was get good grades, go to a really good school, and maybe then go to another really good school and then get a job and make a bunch of money and then live the dream. Have all the things and maybe get married and kids, blah, 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 right? That's what it looked like. It was
the status quo checklist.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Like where did that come from? I don't know. It's cultural conditioning. It's the patriarchy. It's a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I loved making lists. I would go back in my journals from middle school and high school, and there would be these journals filled with lists of the things that I did. The doing, the doing, the doing, the doing, the doing, because I thought if I did the thing, then I would finally be successful. And underneath that success is like, okay, I finally feel, well, what does that mean? Whole, okay, complete, at peace, because I didn't feel any of those things after I got the degrees and after I traveled abroad and got the great internship and was a school leader and almost married a wealthy man. And then I did, all these things. I said, I did the things. Why am I still so empty inside? And it was because ultimately I had a lot of self-confidence and not a whole lot of self-worthiness. But I didn't even have the language. I really wasn't even awake to this until, I got sober back in 2009. So it's been over 15 years. And I started to rebuild both of those things without even knowing the words. Because when I got sober, I had lost not only all of the self-worth that I had, but also the confidence as well. So it was all gone. And my
Can I pause you there then?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the alcoholism was giving you confidence?
Wow, that's a great question. And when I was reviewing I want to attribute at the beginning Jamie Kernlina's book, Worthy, because it was such a wake-up call for me to read that book. And it just gave language to all of the feelings that I was having. So yes and no.
Okay.
What happens when we rely too much on self-confidence? And this is my experience, so I'll just make it about me.
Yeah.
When I was relying so much on the superficial, but there was no foundation, that means the ground below, the ground beneath was empty. And so think about, Jamie uses this metaphor, confidence is the house. This is from the scripture too, right? We build this house, which is our life. But if you're building a house on hollow ground, where all the ground underneath is just empty instead of a rock bed foundation, your house is going to be destroyed with the first wind, or it's going to implode. And that's what happened, is that I was so focused on building my self-confidence, which is achievement based, it's doing based, it's outcome based, it's external based, but I had no idea how to ground in and build that foundation of worthiness, because I didn't hear as a kid, and maybe it was said to me, except for specific instances, and maybe I'll come back to those specific incidents. I'll just out myself. Like, it was in church. I was talking to my girls. We just sent them to church camp this week. And the first day, they were so resistant. They're like, we don't want to go to camp. We hate church. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, listen, you're going. I know the good stuff is there. And they came back singing these songs the first day of how worthy they were and how good God is and how good it is and how precious they are and how loved they are. And so I mention that because there were these instances where I heard I'm perfect and worthy and whole exactly the way I was. But it was like at church camp over the summer one year, or in youth group when I bothered to show up. And it wasn't internalized. It wasn't this conversation around, it doesn't matter what you do. There's nothing you can do to be unworthy. There's nothing you can do to shake your value. No degree, no marriage, no money, none of that affects your worthiness. And that's not the message that I got, that I heard. Maybe I got it, Kana. I mean, maybe people said it, but I had already made up my mind at the ripe age of 10 about what was good and what wasn't.
Yeah.
So what happens, let me answer your question just really quickly. What happens is that something has got to fill that hollowness.
Yeah.
And in my case, I used alcohol to fill it, because when I drank, it made me feel whole. It made me feel like it was all going to be okay. And I was finally complete. It was like all the puzzle pieces fit together. But here is the tricky part about alcoholism, two features of it. One is, when you start drinking, even with the best intentions and the best laid plans, you can't stop. It's almost impossible to stop. And so I would feel that sense of wholeness for a whole 45 minutes. And then after that, I'd continue to drink to seek that feeling. And then what happens is you black out and you do crazy things, and you wake up and filled with guilt, shame, and remorse. And then it's a vicious cycle, because then you feel empty again, and something's got to fill that. And if not the degree, then and then the second part about alcoholism is it's progressive, which means once you've got it, it only gets worse. It never gets better unless there is, I'm going to just say this with confidence, a spiritual intervention. There is an intervention that involves a reconfiguration of your own worthiness, which for me has been channeled by the Spirit. So hopefully I answered that.
Yes, you did. Yeah, it makes sense how you say it, and how it is that actual vicious cycle that it keeps going over there.
And unfortunately, when you are abusing anything, whether it's alcohol or drugs or sugar or eating or sex or gambling or whatever, right? Everybody has insert the blank issue. We're not addressing what the core issue is, which is I'm disconnected from my own sense of worthiness of who I am and whose I am. And so, of course, I'm going to drink too much. Of course, I'm going to watch too much TV. Of course, I'm going to do drugs, whatever the issue is.
Yeah.
Because I don't realize how valuable and worthy I am, which results in abuse of whatever. And that was my story.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And I wish I could say my first couple of years sober, I woke up and I realized it's all about worthiness. No, ma'am. My first thought was, how soon can I get the well-paying job back? And how soon can I go back to school? And how soon can I get married? And how soon can I, again, external validation. But in the meantime, as a gift of the recovery program, yeah, about all that. But the emphasis that I did start to hear and finally did internalize is like, none of that matters if you don't have a connection with the creator or source or God or universe, whatever you want to call it. It does not
Mhm.
care. The thing that beats your heart, because we know it's not you. And so the foundation of recovery is based on this idea that we must connect to a power greater than ourselves. Even if it's as small as a mustard seed, a connection and a connection and a connection, until
Mhm.
not so long ago, I woke up and still had a bunch of self-confidence, but finally had this foundation of worthiness that was not contingent upon anything external.
Isn't that the best thing ever?
which is when I left my 6-figure job and I said, well, none of this matters. What matters is I just woke up to the fact that I'm complete and worthy no matter what. And so I'm going to go do what I want, what I would love. I'm going to take the big leap,
Yes.
which is what I help women do now. Do the thing they've always wanted to do. And you can't do that until you've installed this idea, or at least a beginning of, I'm worthy and whole exactly the way I am.
Yes.
I don't need any of this external stuff. And I think that's what blocks a lot of us. It's like, well, I got to pay the mortgage and I got to be this and my identity. And so I'll stay stuck in the self-confidence, which will take me so far, but won't fix the foundation.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. If we keep focusing on in the exterior and not going in, that's when I guess that's one of that's what we say we have that, midlife crisis. No, it's when you really pop in there and it's like, no, it's your soul calling you, man. Women, in this case, that's what is happening. It's your soul's calling. It's about stop doing.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
only crisis is the ego. The ego is having a crisis. That representative, that performative part of you that like needs everybody to think you're perfect and have it all together. And like, guess what? You don't need that, and you don't have it all together, and it's okay. So it's an awakening. And I'm in the middle of it. I think we both are, right?
Yes,
your story
definitely.
is gorgeous too. It's not a crisis except for the ego. It's an awakening for the spirit.
Yes.
It's that call forward that's always been there. We've just now tuned in our dial to finally listen to it. And then the crisis comes, really, there is a crisis when we aren't brave enough, which is based on worthiness, to take action, to be on assignment, just like you have. You've done that. You're a model for that. Terrifying, brave action, but you can't not take it. You can't.
Yeah, no, we can't. Yeah, it can take many routes, many paths, but we're going to keep being pushed until we just burst open, until we freaking surrender finally and say, okay, I'm here. I'm listening because I know you, beautiful voice of my soul, from source, you are not going anywhere. And I gotta finally listen to you.
Especially for women, we have such, in my opinion, closer access to that intuitive voice.
Yes.
That is literally, we have a line, we have a direct line to God, Kana, and we're ignoring it. We're like, you remember, you're okay, midlife, right? So my midlife girls, I bet you had a wall phone, right? When you were growing up, and the phone was on the wall and you had to go to the wall and pick it up and answer the call from the wall. I'm sorry, I totally lost my train of thought where I was going with that. But like, you have to answer the call. You have to. It's not going away. Oh, here's where I was going. Yes. Good job, Dana's mind. We're coming back together. Is that, okay, if you knew that you had a direct line to the creator of the universe, wouldn't you use it? Wouldn't you walk over to the wall phone and pick it up and be like, hey, God, can you tell me what to do about this? And then you sit in meditation and you listen and the answer comes. Yes. Maybe not in meditation, but you will always be careful what you ask because you will always get the answer. Always. And so this is a different topic, but if you're asking low level, small-minded questions, you're going to get low-level, small-minded answers. Now, if you take the time to ask expansive, life-giving, on our call today, buzzing questions, the answer will drop in to the expansive question, you'll get an expansive answer.
Yeah.
So the question I'm asking a lot to myself and my clients and mentees is, if you had a direct line to God, wouldn't you use it?
I love that.
And when
Yeah, because we
no.
forget. We forget that he's there. Because I don't know, at least in my case, like I was raised Catholic, but it was more like being pushed to go to church, and Catholicism is based on fear. So I never, I no, until my adulthood, I understood why I never felt like really connected to that religion. And it was like, who wants to live in fear? It's until I started doing yoga that I reconnected with mind, body, and soul that I was like, oh, no, everything is based in love. It's love, not fear.
Yes. And just to clarify, spirituality and religion sometimes have nothing to do with each other. And sometimes they do. And a lot of religion is based in fear. Why? Because it's controlling. And if we knew the whole truth, then we would be totally free, which would be impossible to control. And so I have worked through my previous hard feelings towards my religious upbringing. And what I've realized is your spirit is everywhere, and you can go to church. Like I've started recently in the last couple of years going back to church. I love the experience, but I co-created my spiritual foundation without needing to do that. And now I just go because it amplifies the relationship that I already have and puts me around other people who are also seeking God in a way that's very life-giving. And the place we choose to go, very much like the core message is God is love. God is love. God is love. And it says where love is felt. The mantra of the church is where love is felt. God is found, love is felt.
Yeah. That would resonate for me, but not before.
Up, right?
Not me either.
It was very much like, you did what? Get on your knees and say the rosary, right? Get on your knees, which is very like, come on now.
And then my fault. And then we, with our hand, we step into our heart like this. Like, no, no. That's a big no.
So I'm having a bit of an awakening now, because, the big question is, what happened to us? Like, when did we forget? And I'm not talking about an individual, although I get to coach, I do one-on-one coaching, and I get to look a woman in the eye and say, when did you forget that you were born completely whole and perfect and worthy out the gate? And nothing has ever shifted that. When did you forget? But the question we're asking now is, on a whole scale, global level, when did we forget? When did we forget? Well, this could have something to do with it. The patriarchal structures of religion, of education, of business, of finances, of society. And the whole message is, you're not enough. You're not enough. You're not enough. You're not enough. So it's not like we have a problem as individual women. We have a global crisis where we're telling people, and women receive it specifically.
How you have to look. Yeah. How do you have to look? How do you have to dress? Oh no, you're getting old. No. Put Botox for here, there. Like, why? And you know what? That's one of the things that I don't understand, because for women, aging, it's like a penalty. Like penalties, that's how we say it in English. It's like a punishment or something. And for men, it's like, oh my God, he's aging. Know how handsome he is, and da-da-da. So it's like, are you freaking kidding me? It's like, give me a break. And that's when we are actually more powerful, because as you said, at this time in midlife, and it's when we start waking up, and we take that call, and if we start taking our power back, oh my God, what we can achieve. And achieve, I'm not talking about, also in matter, but I'm talking about inside of us. That power that comes within, that is actually being into alignment, being at peace, in love, in balance, in harmony within, and then from here propagated outside. Oof, that's the best power ever.
Yes. And the way that we transform starts starts here. It's definitely for me, at least it was a wake up call. Like, I also just have to say I majored in women's studies. So I've always sort of been interested in this, in the inequity and the discrepancy, and more importantly in the, okay, how do we do this? Not just close the gap, but remember who we are, because a woman who knows who she is a powerful superhero.
Yes.
She's a secret weapon. She's a superhero. You can smell her before she even walks in the room. You can feel her before she even gets to the block.
Yes.
A woman who knows who she is and whose she is. Because I'll be honest with you, this is what I found. And I want to tell a quick story. So this is last year. I thought, well, what can I do? Like, what do I have that I can offer my audience as a masterclass that I think women need? And I asked questions and I did market research, and a lot of what came back was confidence. And I was like, I got confidence. Like, I got that. I could write the book on confidence. And I felt very confident about doing a masterclass on confidence. I didn't have to chat GPT it. I literally just wrote it based on my own experience, understanding. And it was my favorite masterclass up to that point. And I had like 2 people came. But I loved it. Okay, so I thought, that's interesting. 2 people came, so it wasn't more people watched it after. But still, I normally had more people on the show up rate. Okay, that's interesting. But I still continued to market it. I put it in my email signature. I was like, I've got the lock on, I think it was called How to Build Unshakable Confidence. And then, the universe has a sense of humor. She knows exactly what we need and when we need it. And so within 10 days after I gave that masterclass, the Oprah recommended to me, I'm an Oprah insider because I love her so much, but she's like, okay, you need to listen to Jamie Kern Lena's podcast, and then you need to go buy her book. And whatever Oprah says, I basically do.
Okay.
So I read her book and was cracked wide open. And I was like, what? I need to take that masterclass down immediately, because I'm now propagating the problem, which is telling women that if you just had more confidence, then you'd finally get whatever you want. But that's not where it is. And I'm so glad that I found that, because yes, confidence is good, but where true fulfillment and purpose and happiness and ease, and also better health, better physical health, better mental health, better sleep, better sex, better everything comes from, is not confidence. It's worthiness.
Can you, in that case, tell us what's the difference between these two?
Yeah. So if you're open to it, I'm just going to read a couple of things from Jamie's book.
Of course. Go for it.
Her words are so powerful. The gist of the difference is confidence is your belief in your ability to do. Okay. So confidence is doing. It's action oriented. It's external. It's achievement oriented, and it fluctuates. It's very volatile. So it's like, I had a masterclass with 50 people in it. Yay. And then the next one's 2. And I'm like, I'm a failure, right? That's the difference in a fluctuation and confidence. It's based on the number and outcome.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can build it, but it's all external. Okay. Worthiness is not in anything that you do. It's all about who you be, my girl. It's who are you, who you're being. And it's the belief that you are inherently valuable and deserving of everything good: love, connection, belonging, abundance, joy, simply because you're here.
Because you exist.
Right.
Yes.
And a knowing, and it doesn't matter where you went to school or how much money you make or how many kids you have or how many cats you have. Nothing matters, because you truly believe in your core that just because you're here, you're worthy, abundant, and enough. And it's not something that you ever earn. And there's nothing you can do to get more or less of it. But it is something that we remember. And as it turns out, midlife is a perfect time to remember. And also, I hope that the message reaches women before midlife so that they can grow up, which is why I feel this compelling energy in my bones and my soul. I have 3 little daughters. I've got a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, and tomorrow I'll have a 10-year-old because it's her birthday.
Oh, yay.
And they've heard this before. There's nothing you can do to be more worthy and loved than you already are. I don't care about your grades. I don't care about if you're on the dance team. I don't care what your attendance percentage is. None of that actually matters. You were born as a creation of the Creator through me as the channel. And you're worthy and perfect exactly the way you are. There's nothing you can ever do to break that. Wouldn't we all benefit from hearing more of that? Now,
That was exactly what I was thinking. Our world would be so different.
This is the thing I've learned about kids is they actually don't care what you say. It's good. It's good to hear what you say, but you know what they do care about? Who you are. They care about who you are.
Yeah.
So are they seeing a mom who's so grounded in her own worthiness that she just radiates? And it doesn't matter if we're it doesn't matter if we're on the school field trip. It doesn't matter if we're at church. It doesn't matter if we're at the pool. They are with a mom who is so clear on who and who she is that it resonates everywhere I go. And that's the thing I have the most confidence is I remembered who I was. And it had nothing to do with any action that I took. It was a simple opening the heart and remembering what was always there. But I was asleep at the wheel and I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
Because I was chasing the checkbox and the lists and the degrees and the external. The other thing is about this external. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, we love having money. It's great.
Yeah.
It affords us the opportunity to be generous and invest and buy ourselves fancy things and take vacations and go to Mexico and treat your sister to them and stuff. There's nothing wrong with that, except if that's first. Is that first? If so, your ground is hollow. But if the connection with your source and yourself, your higher self, is all that matters, all that other stuff will fall into place because you are created by the creator of the universe. You are the daughter of the king or queen, and king and queen.
Yes.
So that was a very extended response. I didn't actually use Jamie's words. Those were some notes, but I do want to say a couple of things that she said. So self-confidence is what you show on the outside, and self-worth is how you feel on the inside.
On the inside.
Confidence is based on mastery, which is do. And self-worth is based on identity, which is be. Confidence is what you can do. Worth is who you are. Confidence is believing that you're skilled enough. I'm confident as a public speaker. Why? Because I've had a lot of practice. Was I confident the first time? I'm not going to lie. I think so. I told you the story in 5th grade. That's like an innate something that I was just like out the gate. Here you go. But the other thing is I didn't have practice being a podcast guest. So the first 10 times I was a podcast guest, I felt very much in growth mode and not as confident.
Okay.
But
it's built with practice.
Exactly. So confidence is built with practice. It's how baseball players become confident. It's how my girls learn how to ride bikes and swim because they practice and they practice. But the worthiness is having the audacity to show up in the first place.
Yeah, of course.
I don't care if I blow it. I don't need to spend an hours and hours getting ready for a podcast interview. I'm perfect and worthy exactly the way I am. Whatever comes out of my mouth is a gift from the creator.
Yeah. So it comes to me then, because to our listeners, they're going to say, so how do I then get back that sense of worthiness, right? Because I think is rooted in wounds, in trauma. Like in my case was rejection. So it's like, what do you think are the more common like wounds or kind of like generalizing situation that can cause us, since we are children, to believe that we are unworthy?
Wow, that is such a big question, Kayna. So I can only speak, I want to speak from my personal experience and then what I've studied and observed. Although human beings are very complex and we all have our own adventures and journeys. And I don't know why Candyland, but the Candyland adventures through life. Have you played Candyland? It's like very curvy. It's lots of colors. There's a lot going on in Candyland. At our core, we're all pretty much the same. So we've got these wounds of I'm not enough. Please don't leave me. This fear of abandonment, this fear of not being enough. Yeah. And then it will come up as different variations of that. I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid of success. I'm afraid of taking action. I'm afraid of being judged. I'm afraid of what they think. But really it's, I'm afraid I'm not enough. and I'm afraid of being abandoned or rejected. But I want to pull up this quote from Marianne Williamson, because underneath all of that is something much bigger. And so give me just a second to pull this up. I love that it's just coming through. And
it's I'm almost sure. Okay.
It's from her book, A Return to Love, which is written in the 1990s. If you don't know Marianne Williamson,
no, I do. So I'm just wondering if you're going to read the quote that I love from her. So let's go.
It's a stellar one. And the other thing about Marianne Williamson is she's a great example of someone who clearly has both confidence, but a foundation built on worthiness. And in her book, A Return to Love, she speaks into that. So I highly recommend that book. Also, she ran for president recently.
Oh,
and I got to meet her on her tour.
Wow, that's amazing.
I got to vote for my girl, Marianne Williamson. I'm sorry, she ran for president in the United States. I keep forgetting her in Canada or Mexico, depending on where that just take you.
Yeah.
But she recently ran for president of the United States. Okay, so she is a master of many things, wisdom and spirituality primarily. And because she created such a following and she's a brilliant political scholar, she also has political experience too. Are you ready for the quote?
Yes.
Okay. She says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? And she says, actually, who are you not to be? You are the child of God, and your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. And it's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And she closes with this. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And as we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So a couple of things there. This comes from psychology. Our core fears of I'm not enough and fear of abandonment, that's actually not it. That's the patriarchal conditioning. But underneath that, it's I'm afraid of my own power.
Yes.
Who would I be if I stepped into the light and claimed the power as my birthright, as a creation of the Creator? What then? What then would I be responsible for? It's big.
Yes, it's a big thing. Yes.
And when we do that, and Marianne's a great example. I mean, she gives very few F's.
I was almost sure you were going to. Oh,
she's willing to step into her own light and be brave and make mistakes and have to apologize and write books and run for president because she has a core belief that she is available for her own power. She has a right to her own power. And so she does things like that, the audacity. Yeah. And as a result, I'm going to drop it here, is that she was called every name in the book on her political tour. She was called a witch, a bitch, a whore, a blah, 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 every single thing you could think of along the way. And she just said, see, this is the patriarchy. And she didn't let it shake her much. I can imagine her sweetheart was shaken a little bit. But she didn't let it stop her because she's clear on who she is and whose she is. Mm-hmm. And she uses the word child of God. I say daughter of the king. You say whatever you want. You were created by something that created the universe. Mm-hmm. So you might have a little bit of light and special in there. Would you be willing to step into that? Okay. But that didn't answer your question at all, right? Your question is, what do we do? Why? Your question is, no. Your question was, well, why? Well, I mean, we could write a manifesto on the why, but can we agree that it's because we're afraid of our own power and also we're entrenched in the patriarchy, and let it just be that simple? Yeah. Because what I don't want to happen, mostly because that was part of my journey, especially pre-sobriety, is, oh, well, I just need to go get more therapy. And no disrespect on therapy. I have pretty consistently had a therapist for my whole adult life, but that's not the thing that has created the transformative belief and identity that I am worthy exactly the way I am. No therapist, nobody could ever have said that to me until I was willing to remember it for myself.
Yeah, it's an inner work. We have to be willing, as you said, to be open to go in, to do the work, to go in and say, okay, what is that? What is that shadow, as we call it? What are those parts of yourself that you're not willing to go see because, again, somebody told you that you don't supposed to look over there. You have to be shameful or feel guilty or blah, 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 all these stories.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that until we don't really accept that shadow and accept that light, because as this quote says, I love that quote. Every time I read it or I hear it, give me chills and I want to cry because I know it's talking to my soul. And it's also recognizing that light that we are. And until we don't accept, understand, and love all those parts of us, until then, we're not going to feel that we are worthy, because then we believe and we think that we are broken, but we are not broken. We are always whole. It's just because of the different wounds, the trauma, etc., life experiences, then we start putting those little hurt parts of us aside and aside and aside. And that's what we feel that we are broken. But no, when we put all those parts together, then we're going to understand that we are whole. We have been whole all the time, and that we are worthy since we've been given birth in here.
From the first breath until this moment.
Exactly.
And that concept, I've really struggled a little bit, or I don't know, struggle, but like kind of agreed and then disagreed and gone back and forth with this idea that we're broken. Because I truthfully don't think that we are. What I think has happened is we're looking too much at the mirror of our own lives and these things that we've experienced. And I'm not dismissing them. Like humans, especially women, have encountered many things that are not ideal and that are harmful.
Yes.
And they are like taking a hammer every time something like that has been experienced and hitting the mirror, and part of the mirror breaks. And the next thing that happens, hitting the mirror and the mirror breaks. And I don't want to be general, right? So it's like when my parents got divorced, it was like, bam, part of my identity broke. But notice that the hammer is hitting the mirror. And so it's the mirror that's broken. It's not me. It's not the woman standing in front of the mirror. It's the way I see me, that I'm whole the whole time.
Yes. I love that analogy.
So the other, and then it's like, yeah, how many knocks on the mirror have you endured? Probably a lot. Right. So there's in my story, just quickly, my stories, my parents got divorced, and then I had experience with sexual assault, and then I had an eating disorder, and then I had self-esteem issues, and then I didn't get this, I got bad grades, and then I did this and this, then alcoholism and this, right? And then like so many bangs on the mirror. I'm not enough. It's not, this person left me and I didn't get this, and my dad died, and it's like, why me? And knock, knock, knock on the mirror. But the woman standing in front of the mirror was always whole
and worthy. And
I was, and here's the shift. And it's never been given to me like it has just been, is that the difference in my life now is I'm not looking at the mirror for who I am. I'm looking at the creator. I'm looking at the creator. And it's like, where's the creator? Well, I'm looking at her right now. In the form of Kena Sue. And then I'm looking out the window in the form of the greenery in New Orleans. And I'm looking at my children, what they're playing, and I'm looking. And so if you need visual evidence of God, look around. It's
all over. Everywhere.
I don't have to stand entrenched looking at this broken mirror. And I don't even need to fix the mirror. There's no fix. There's no fixing needed, because I was never broken. Those experiences only shattered the idea of what I thought I was. I don't know where that came from, Kane. It's the first time I've ever, but it was divinely downloaded. So I hope that's helpful.
It's beautiful.
So the question that has to come next is, okay, I hear you. I'm with you. the women they coach, right? Like they probably have, many of them have multiple degrees. Many of them are high earners. Many of them are high achievers. And they were all asking this question of, okay, I hear you. Like the confidence thing isn't sustainable.
Mhm.
So what do I need to do? And that's where the transformation happens. So would you like me to share how to build a little bit more worthiness?
Yes, please. I'm sure our listeners they were like, I'm waiting for this.
Please tell me.
Yes.
Yes. And I will say it is whatever you make it. So you can say it's a lot of hard work, or you can say it's going to be so fun and easy because you get to decide how anything is. You literally can decide how your day is going to be before it even happens. Did you know this?
Yes, of course.
So of course you did, right? Like we're in the same spectrum. You can
Yeah.
decide before you ever have the meeting, before you ever pick up the phone, before you ever get in bed with somebody, like whether it's going to be amazing or whether it's not, because we get what we look for and expect. I don't know where that came from. Oh, the perception of the work. Because the question is it going to be hard? Is it going to be painful? It's going to
Yeah.
be what you decide that it's going to be. Is
Yeah.
it going to be worth it? Yes.
Yes.
You saw what I did there, right? I'll say, you know, this work isn't for everyone. It's yet. In order to be in front of the work, there has to be, this came into me in meditation, so I'm going to go ahead and say it. There has to be this answer to a question that I'm going to ask. So in the recovery community, oftentimes, if you are being taken through the work, your guide will ask you, are you willing to go to any lengths? And if your issues, drugs or alcohol, like my first mentor said, are you willing to go to any lengths to get sober? And I was so beaten down. This is the other great thing about alcoholism is it will win. It always does. And we can either surrender or not. And so I was so surrendered and so devastated at the time that she could have told me to strip naked, paint my body blue, orange, and purple and go run in the middle of the interstate. And I would have been willing to do that. Now, that's not what she asked. But what she did ask is, are you willing to go to any lengths? Are you willing to do whatever it takes? And I said, yes. And so the question here is, listen, this work is not for the faint of heart. It's for the woman who's ready to remember who she is. And so I'm going to ask the question, are you willing to go to any lengths to remember your own worthiness?
Hell yeah.
And it needs to be a hell yeah. And you don't even have to know. You just have to be willing.
Yeah.
And that's when you've made that decision, you've already won. You've already started the remembering process. Okay, so I took some notes, but I'm going to actually abandon the notes. Maybe I'll weave them in. But the process of transformation doesn't look the same for everybody. But my suggestion is the very first step is to get clear on where you're suffering right now, where your longing is, where your discontent is, and just get it all out. It's almost like we have just bought a piece of property and we're going to build a huge, beautiful mansion for ourselves. Okay. But before we build anything, we might have to knock down the shack that's sitting on it. And you might need to take a look at the shack and be like, actually, I don't want to live in a 1-bedroom, half bathroom piece of termite infested, like whatever it is. You understand? It's a metaphor.
Yeah.
So we have to look closely at what is not working and what we don't like. We're not going to shy away from the darkness. You said the shadow. We're going to look the shadow in the face and we're going to get clear on the ways that we're suffering, struggling, longing, discontent. Get it down. That's the hard part. We're getting that out of the way so it doesn't come back and bug us. And once we've gotten clear, then we set it to the side. We've done the demolition and we have this beautiful plot of land. And now we start the blueprinting process, just to use the house metaphor, the mansion metaphor. And so before you take your ideas to the architect and tell her what kind of mansion you need for her to design, you've got to get clear on what kind of mansion or home that you would love to live in. So the core question, I'm inviting you to really swallow this and digest it and meditate on it, is this. What would you love? What would you love? And it doesn't matter if we're talking about, I tend to specialize in career, business, and finances, but we can also talk about your health, your relationships, your world travels, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But you don't ask your mind, Kana. You go straight to your heart and maybe your stomach area, which is the seat of the soul, the solar plexus. And you say, what would I love? And then you start to imagine, you start to let those images or those sensations or those feelings come. And then you get a pen. I prefer a pen because it's a connection to your body, the channel for the soul. And you start writing. And you write and you write and you write and or you picture or whatever, like whatever it is. Don't let your ego step in and say, I don't like writing. Like, no. I didn't ask if you like writing. I asked, what would you love? And then you let it pour through you. And then, can I get a little sexy with you, Kana?
Of course. Go for it.
I was just describing this to a client, okay? And then you ask this really sexy question, okay? I don't know if you've ever been in bed with somebody and it's like really good and they're like really hitting all the spots. And then they look up at you and they're like, oh, you like that? Uh-huh. What else? What else?
Oh, I love
What
that.
else? So that's the second question, right? And you want that same kind of pleasure-based love energy because guess what that does? It amplifies your reach of your soul, which is brings it to you like a racehorse to the finish line. So you ask, what would I love? And then you make it sexy and you say, ooh, what else? What else? I like that and please that and then this. And by the end of it, when I do this well, the end of it is like a spiritual orgasm where I'm like, yes, almost like Sleepless in Seattle. And when I do this in a coffee shop, people are looking at me like, I'll have whatever she's having.
I bet.
Okay. So short and sweet of that. My cheeks are blushing. That means it's working.
Yes.
So we've gotten clear on what we don't want. We've gotten clear not on what we want, but what we would love. Say this for me. What do I want?
What do I want? Yeah.
Now say this. What would I love?
What would I love?
Which one feels better in your soul?
Oh, the second one. It feels more exciting. I feel the tingles in my chest. Yeah,
and
it's different.
Perfect, because what do I want or what do I want is a very mind confidence-based thing. And then the question begets is like, why don't I have it? And am I not good enough? And blah, 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 right? There's underneath that is, well, I don't have it. So there's scarcity. But when you ask the question from your spirit, what would I love? Your spirit tells you, and it's probably not a Lamborghini. Like maybe it is, I don't know. But it might be just this sense of feeling at home with yourself, no matter where you are. What would I love? What else? The third thing that happens, and this is where it's so important to have a coach, a mentor, a guide, a partner in believing, whatever you have access to, because what happens after you've gotten clear on what you would love is your ego rises from the depths.
Yes.
And says, absolutely not.
Not happening.
Absolutely not. And she will start speaking to you in the most sexy and attractive voice that probably sounds like you. It probably sounds very logical. It might sound like your mom or your dad. Who knows? She will speak to you in the way that your mind will listen. And she'll say things like, well, you don't have the experience and you don't have the money and that's never going to happen. It's going to take too long. And what would your family think? And that's not possible. You don't even like social media. Like, how, blah, 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 blah. You're nodding because you have it too, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So number one, that's good news. Because that means you've just started to expand what your heart knows already, but your mind has one job, and it's to keep you safe. You're built like that, right? We don't have that in our mind. I like to give my mind massage and say, thank you so much for trying to support me, keep me safe, but I'm going to need you to get in the back.
Yes.
I'm going to need you to get in the back. I try not to fight her. I try not to resist her because we know what we resist persists and it just gets bigger.
Yeah.
Whole separate episode on that.
No, just to have the awareness of it.
Yes. I'm awake to it. I'm not running. I'm not hiding. I'm not fighting. I'm saying, listen, this is my convertible, bitch. Get in the back. Get in the back. And I just want to attribute that analogy to Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote this beautiful book, Big Magic. And the whole first chapter is about fear. Of course we have fear. If we're doing anything big, we have fear. And she's showing up and she's trying to get in the way. And you say, welcome. I love you. I've been waiting for you. Thank you. Now get in the back. You can come in the car, but you're not touching the radio, and you're not picking where we stop to eat, and you don't even get to roll down the window, but you can come and you're sitting in the back. It's kind of like my 5-year-old. Like, you're coming and we're strapping you in. Okay. You're not going anywhere. Sitting in the back for safety. Okay. So this third phase is learning the tools and techniques to bridge the gap when all of your fears show up and dance naked in your driveway. Mm-hmm. And then the next step is to take action that feels like your soul is completely alive. It's aligned action. It's not from the mind. It's what feels good, what feels exciting, what is buzzing, what makes me smile and create energy. And yes, maybe it creates fear too, but I can't not take it. And I guide women through this process of soul-aligned, spirit-aligned action. And it doesn't come from the mind. We learn how to open ourselves up to the intuitive direction. We source our list from there, and we take one baby step at a time towards Mount Olympus. And Mount Olympus looks different for everybody. But even if my original mentor, Mary Morrissey, says, even if you just take baby steps, as long as you don't stop, you will reach the top of Mount Olympus. And so it's that end piece of, once we know what we don't and know what we love and know how to navigate fear, know how to access our intuition, then we take the action. Most people think it's like, well, I'm just going to, this girl on the call today, she was like, I don't know what I can't take any action. I feel stuck all the time. And in my heart, I'm like, yeah, girl, I know, because you don't remember who you are. And if you don't know who you are through this process of transformation, of course, you're going to feel like you're stuck because you think it has anything to do with action. And action is the last thing that creates results. It does. But as long as it's founded on this deep belief of, now I know who I am and whose I am and how to navigate this thing called life, then I'm ready to take action. And it's not a year-long process. It's something that can happen in a very short time. And the last part, and this is what I love doing with you. You and I are doing this together, is who we are becoming because of this process. We're becoming women who have podcasts. And it's not about the podcast, right? It's about, we remembered that we have a voice and it's important. And by stepping into our own light, we are empowering women to come with us. Don't walk behind me. That's not where the light is.
No, come next to me.
Step in front of me. Let's go into the light together. And I promise you, Kana, because we were brave enough, seated in our own understanding of who we are, women are already coming and asking and receiving more than they ever would have had we not come from that place and taken that brave action from a place of, I'm terrified, but I know who I am and I'm doing it anyway.
Oh, right? You gave me chills. You gave me chills because, yeah, that's the path. That's the path. What a beautiful journey that is. And it's very powerful. Ah, wow.
There's so much. I mean, and there are little tips and strategies that Jamie offers in her book and that I've used in my own. But the truth is that the first key to cultivating worthiness is to make yourself willing and open to remember who and whose you are, which means, as we talked about on the call and before, there's a need for a spiritual practice. And I'm not shying away from that. Yes, you're going to have to start praying or talking. It doesn't like, don't let the word get in the way of you doing it. Talk to the plant. The plant's not growing because like you didn't make the plant grow. Talk to the sun, talk to the ocean, call it whatever you want. And then there's this other practice of, and then you listen. Just like, let's walk back over to the wall phone from 7th grade. You picked up the phone, you're talking to your best friend for like 10 hours, and you're talking sometimes, and she's talking sometimes. And if you're talking the whole time, she's not going to want to be your friend. Okay. If she's talking the whole time, you're not going to pick up the phone again. So it's a balance of praying and meditating or speaking and listening. Yeah. And through that, you become an open channel to the voice of your intuition, and you feel liberty, just like my 5-year-old does, to say whatever you want, whenever you want to the creator. My 5-year-old will say anything that she wants to me or her father at any time of day or night. She will come in at 3 a.m. and be like, oh, I think we should get a new bunny and it's almost my birthday and I love my teacher and what should I wear for school tomorrow? We're like, dude, it's 3 a.m. You got to go back to bed. But listen, God never says, dude, you got to go back to bed. God's like, I've been waiting for you. What you got? I've been waiting for you. What you got? Give me more. Tell it. And then this loving presence that wants you to be quiet and listen and receive all that is yours. This reminder of joy and worthiness and yes, confidence, right? Again, like I'm not knocking confidence. I'm just saying you can't build your whole house on this foundation without knowing who you are. And if you're a woman who has tried the root of self-confidence only, you know what I'm talking about. And I was her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Partially.
Yeah. We're still kind of, moving the check away.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just we got to know where we start. And also the more worthiness I am open myself up to and the more worthiness I receive and remember, the more confident I am and the more willing I am to show up even when I have no idea about how or what, when or why or whatever. I'm just like, I know what I would love and I know who I am. And so here we go. Podcast, yes. Coaching practice, yes. Investing tens of $1,000s in guidance and programs and leadership because it's my dream that came out of this process. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. Because why? I'm worth it. I will and here's something I can say with assurance that I couldn't before is that I am my best investment. I'm going to get an ROI on me.
Yes.
I'm always going to win if I invest in me.
Yeah.
And so when I'm on calls and they'll say, wow, it's an investment to work with a coach. It absolutely is.
It is.
And here's what I also know, especially from my gals who are moms, is that when my daughters ask me for something, 100% of the time, I absolutely want to, and most of the time will say yes. Horse camp, yes. Tennis lessons, yes. Swim team, yes. Yes, 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 yes. But when it came to me and investing in me, I'm like, oh no, I can't. I couldn't possibly, blah, 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 right? And what am I showing them when I'm not investing in me?
That you're unworthy.
I'm open to them. I said, I invested this number of dollars in a business coach for 6 months. She's going to help me expand my understanding of business. And I use that language and the specific dollar amount so they know that their mom is investing in herself to create her dreams. Because what else is there really? Come on.
Yeah.
What else is there besides the longing in your heart, the voice of your intuitive guidance, which is your assignment? Everything else is ashes. Is that too much?
It's powerful. It's beautiful. And the thing is, you are showing them the way it is, because that's the only way they're going to recognize the worthiness in themselves, by showing them. As you said, they might not listen, but they pick up all your behavior to what you are doing, what you are saying, what you are embodying. And that's what they're going to get. And that's the power that you are giving them by doing the work. You are giving them that huge, beautiful gift.
Can I tell one more story? One more story along the lines. It just came up. I was like, yeah, we have to tell this. Okay. So when I told you about my mom, superstar, trailblazer, incredible, she's still amazing. But my mom was very rarely able to show up for things at school, after school stuff, because she was working, which is what was required of her work. And I felt a little angsty about that, especially when I was like, but mom, everybody else's mom is there, or everybody else's whatever. Okay. So through the recovery process, I was able to work through that and let that go. But I did make a commitment that when my kids have something that I'm invited to, I'm coming. I'm going to be there. And my being there speaks louder than my I can't because, or I want to, but I can't. My presence shows them through my actions that you are worthy, you are valuable, and of course I will be there. Where else would I be?
Yes.
Where else would I be? So I will cancel with clients and I will be inconsistent if I need to, because I know who I am and what's important to me. And here's the story. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
Okay. So my girls take dance, and they're not quite Simone Biles, but they are getting there. But they take this little community dance, and they have a yearly recital. And this year, my 4-year-old, my then 7-year-old were doing it. And I live in New Orleans, which is why I say I'm obsessed with all things New Orleans. I also happen to love and have always loved festivals and live music. It's just like where I meet God and find God. So I will go to all the festivals. Love music. Okay. So we have Jazz Fest 2 weekends in New Orleans in April and May. And Kana, my very favorite band, and they've been my favorite band since 1996, is the Dave Matthews Band. I mean, I know every song. I've been to a bunch of shows. I had their t-shirt, like everything. Obsessed. Dave Matthews Band, DMB, whatever. I'm obsessed with these guys. And so we've got a lot going on. The calendar wasn't quite right. So we were like, oh, Dave Matthews is coming to New Orleans and we're going to go see him. We got childcare lined up. We took off, cleared the calendar. We're definitely going. We're going to stay all day. We're going early. We're going late. So excited. Okay. Well, here comes the girls' recital. And I'm like, I don't have it in the calendar. When is it? And you know when it was, right?
Yeah, of course.
It was the same day. Okay, but that's not even the story. I thought my kids will definitely understand if we go see Dave Matthews, because that's we'll get the recording. We'll see it next year. It's fine. It's going to be fine. I'll go to the recital. But I said, let me check with them. This is why you got to check, okay? With source. And sometimes God speaks through my kids. So I said to my 7-year-old Audrey, Audrey, would you mind if we just went to the rehearsal and then caught the video of the recital so that mom and dad can go see their very favorite band, Dave Matthews Band? And she said, absolutely not. This is much more important than that. And I thought, you know what? Not only is she right, but I'm so proud that she knows her worth.
Yes.
And she knows what's important.
And she spoke her truth.
And so I won't lie, I was still a little sad that I didn't get to see my man Dave Matthews Band. But when I was at that recital, I saw God being like, yeah, that's right. Remember who you are. Remember this gift of these beautiful children and this gorgeous community and this presence of life, surrounded by grandparents and surrounded by support. I'm like, I see you, God. I don't even need Dave Matthews Band. You're everywhere. You're here. But to know that my 7-year-old was so grounded in what was worthy and valuable and important that she would say, absolutely not. You know what's most important. Act on that. I thought,
wow.
Well, okay. And that's the difference. I said, okay, I'll be there. Plans canceled. Important thing, work, everything. Cancel. Because I know what is worthy. Pretty cool, huh?
Very cool. Yeah. Wow. Well, then it's clear that worthiness that you feel within, you are already showing it to them as they are also embodying. So, wow. Respect to that, Dana. How beautiful is that?
The other smaller thing, if you want to start small, is something that is emphasized in the community we share with Kathy Heller, is to cultivate this deep remembering of your own worthiness. When someone offers you anything, a compliment, a coffee, hold the door, let you in traffic, the only thing that you need to say is, oh, thank you. Instead of, oh, that old thing, I got it at Target, or like that old thing on my hair, blah, 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 like this rejection, this resistance. Part of you practicing your own worthiness is you simply saying, thank you. Thank you.
Being open to receive. And that's so, it's hard for us, for women, because we are wired to give instead of receiving.
And
our nature is actually.
And you don't have to give them a compliment back, and you don't have to earn it.
Nope.
There's no earning in worthiness. It just is. And your thank you is receiving and remembering and reminding.
Beautiful. What a beautiful conversation. Thank you for sharing all those stories. You gave me chills several times, right? It was so wonderful.
I got them too. It's what happens when we hear the truth, I think.
Yes. Definitely. Mm, what? So, closing up this beautiful conversation, what would you call this midlife butterfly stage where you are at this moment?
It's an awakening, Kana. It's an
Mm,
awakening. I'm waking up. And I don't know about, you know, when I fell asleep, but it's an awakening. And it's so broad, it's so vast, but there's light, so much light. As long as
yes.
I can remain open and say, well, this is interesting and this is fun and this is new and this is like, what is all this sweat at night? I'm like, this is interesting. Maybe it's like the hot sun. I'm going to detox every night. Great. But I think there's a metaphor there, right? So we're releasing all of these old negative paradigms and beliefs.
Mhm.
And the sweat at night is just a metaphor for letting it go.
Yeah, you definitely
I would call
release
it an
it.
awakening.
Oh,
I would
wow.
call it an awakening, which is a letting go and a remembering. And you see much more light and beauty and God everywhere you look. But you've got to put the right glasses on. You understand? You've got to
Yes,
decide in advance that
that's
you're
true.
waking up and that you're going to decide that it's good.
Yes, it's a decision. Wow. And what's a simple pleasure that you enjoy the most?
Mm. I go to the gym at least 3 days a week. And
Okay.
that's not it. Okay. Now, a couple of reasons why I go to the gym. It makes me feel good. It makes me look good. I have friends there. It's part of my routine. But really and truly, between you and me and the girl who works at the front desk, the only reason I can get myself to the gym is because at the end of it, there is this aqua massage chair, this hydro massage chair that I spend the last 10 minutes in. So I'm like, if I go to the gym and a workout, then I can go get in the hydro massage chair and meditate. And it
Yay!
just feels like a whole army of mermaids is working on me.
Army of Mermaids.
And
I love that. I want that too.
so I leave the gym happy every single time. So it trains my nervous system to want to go to the gym, even when the alarm goes off at 5 a.m. and we can't consciously decide why we're going.
Mhm.
It's just we've trained ourselves. Because it's the
The mermaids are
massage
waiting
at
for
the end.
you.
The mermaids are waiting. So is the stairmaster, but that's okay. Yeah, that's
Oh,
a great
wow.
question.
Yeah, it's great. How we can find things that motivate us to actually do what we gotta do, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, besides, I already told people they can find you at the Girls Who Recovered podcast. It's also your brand. Where else can they find you?
My favorite place to hang out is the podcast. I also am on Facebook and Instagram. And if something resonated with you and you feel called forward and you're like, listen, I know that the reason why I haven't done the thing that I know I need to do is because of a misunderstanding around confidence and worthiness, send me a DM. I would love to connect and support you. Because my whole work in the world is helping women do the thing that they've always wanted to do. And most of the time, we're not doing it, not because we can't or we're unskilled or the fear. It's because we've forgotten how worthy we are. Isn't that a cool assignment? Much better than the
Yes.
corporate life that I was living before.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, sister. Such a pleasure for this conversation. It has been wonderful. A lot of insights. I'm sure that this is going to benefit a lot of women listening. And yeah, reach out. We are here for you. Dana is here. I am here. Thank you for listening and hope to see you next time.
Mwah. Thank you, Kana. Love you,
Much
girl.
love. I love you too.
Thank you for tuning into Midlife Butterfly. If this episode lit a spark in you, hit that subscribe or follow button on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you love to listen, so you'll never miss the magic. If you're feeling generous, drop a review on Apple Podcasts. It helps this empowering content reach more souls ready to transform their lives. Until next time, keep spreading those wings and living in joy, growth, and pleasure.